The clock struck midnight. The street was dark. Shadows moved under the flickering streetlights, hiding secrets. The city seemed to sleep. It was quiet, with only distant sirens and footsteps. The air felt tense, as if something was hiding in the shadows. In the silence, the night felt alive. Fear filled the hearts of those outside. Every corner felt scary, with unseen terror lurking.
The streetlights flickered, casting fleeting glimpses of the surroundings. A chill ran down the spine of a lone figure walking down the street. Each step echoed, amplifying the sense of isolation and fear. Suddenly the lights went out. Darkness swallowed the street whole. Only the sound of breathing remained, heavy and panicked. The figure froze, straining to see through the inky blackness. An eerie hum filled the air. The lights flickered back, revealing an empty street once more. But something was different. The air felt charged, and the feeling of being watched was palpable. A woman in a red coat appeared under a streetlight. Her face obscured by shadows, she moved with an unnatural grace. The lone figure watched, transfixed by her silent glide. As she reached the end of the street, she turned back. Her eyes glinted in the dim light, reflecting a fear that gripped the observer's heart. Then, without a sound, she vanished into thin air. Panic set in. The observer rushed to the spot where she had stood, but there was no trace of her. Only the cold wind whispered her presence, as if she had never been there at all. The alleys were darker than the streets, filled with thick shadows. Whispers echoed from within, voices speaking in hushed, incomprehensible tones. It felt as if the walls themselves were alive. The observer hesitated, but felt a strange compulsion to follow the whispers. Each step into the alley deepened the darkness. The voices grew louder, more insistent, tugging at the mind. Suddenly the whispers stopped. Silence enveloped the alley, heavy and oppressive. A sense of dread filled the air. The observer turned to leave, but the exit seemed farther than before, as if the alley had stretched, trapping them within. A sense of being followed grew stronger. The observer quickened their pace, heart pounding. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound amplified in the silence of the night. A figure emerged from the darkness, silent and unyielding. It followed at a steady pace, not rushing but relentless. The observer could feel its gaze, cold and unblinking. Desperation set in. The observer ran, but the silent pursuer matched every move, closing the distance effortlessly. It felt like a game of cat and mouse, where escape was an illusion and the end inevitable. The night grew colder, the air thicker with dread. The observer stumbled, falling into the darkness. The pursuer loomed closer, its presence more tangible, more terrifying. Just as the figure reached out, the scene shifted. The observer awoke in their bed, drenched in sweat. It was a dream, or so it seemed. The city outside their window was quiet, normal, but the feeling of being watched persisted. Shadows in the corner of the room seemed to move. The terror of the night lingered unresolved, hinting at a nightmare that was far from over.